Hey truckers, here we are with an update with Project Black Betty. We've been working on getting the frame rails cleaned to get the cab set in position to start working on some mounts. I'll show you a little bit more about the mounts. A 60 to 66 are very similar cabs. There's a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. This master cylinder is a big change from 62 to 63, one way to notice. And we got a little situation when it comes to cab mounts. So that'll be the same when it comes to the C10s up to the C60s. Let me show you more. 60 to 63 cabs are the same. It has a wraparound windshield, we call it the knee knockers. You also have a difference when it comes to the cab mount. So in a 60 to 62, that cab mount sits closer over here. 63 to 66, that cab mount is closer, so that's a subtle change. Now, what I mean by that is the 60 to 62 actually has a front cab mount that kicks farther out here on the side, and the 63 to 66 actually sits closer in on this rail on the inside. So the cab mount on the front is a little bit different. This right here is what I'm referring to. When you look at these two cab mounts, totally different. So this is the 60 to 62. You see it kicks farther off the frame and it's actually welded to the factory frame. And the 63 to 66 uses this style here. And as you see, it actually laps over and it was riveted on. So this is a modification that'll be needed to swap the interchangeable cabs. With the rear cab mounts, the rear cab mounts are pretty much the same. They just bolt on or rivet it on from the factory on the side. But one thing that I'm going to be noticing the difference is on the C10 truck, the mounts are used on the outside here. And on the C60, that uses the center mount here. So I'll have to move that. And then we go over here to the C50. And we can look inside and notice that that mount is much closer to the outside rocker. Taking here to the C60, you can see that the rear cab mount that would normally sit right there is not there. It actually sits inside the frame rail, more centered on the cab on each left and right. And when it comes to the front cab mounts on the C60, as you see, they're pretty beefy. And this is actually independent front suspension, so it has torsion bars, and what better way to send those torsion bars than right through that cab mount. So we're not going to use those mounts because I don't want to pull those bars in this swap. So now we wonder, what does it actually take to swap this cab over? So the rear mounts, we know we can use those from a C10, and the front mounts, we know that we can use those from a C10 for 60 to 62 with some modifications. And the front is all mounted on one support. I'll show you more. So if we look at the sheet metal on the front side, the biggest factor that I see different is the core support's pretty much the same core support, except for the C60. It has actually an extension that comes down farther. The actual front sheet metal mounts on one bushing here, versus the C10s, they actually had two bushings, one on each side of the frame. So as you see on the core support, here's where it runs down. C10s will come across, but the C50s and 60s, it comes on down to, it mounts to this little body mount or bushing here on the bottom side. So my intention is hopefully I can use this cross member, put it into the C30, and then be able to use this factory style mount on the front for all the front sheet metal. So you're talking 4 cab mounts and 1 front for the sheet metal. So on today's agenda, we're KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That's me. I gotta focus on the small things. So the small thing today is going to be cleaning this mount up here, prepping it to mount to that C30 frame. And what I believe I'll end up with is a flange on the top that'll roll over just like this one does. But as you see, the width difference, it's really just either modifying this one here or custom building one.